Hi guys, welcome back to my channel.
Okay, it's Christmas morning.
You got the New York one! Oh my god! Today's video is definitely going to be more of a sit down and talk with me kind of vibe. And as you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about New Year's resolutions. I definitely thought about waiting a little longer to make this video, maybe closer to January 1st, when people typically make their New Year's resolutions. But some of my tips involve planning, and I figured the sooner I get it out, the better I can share what works for me and the tips that I found to help me keep or plan or make my New Year's resolutions. Let me start by saying that I personally don't really believe in New Year's resolution goals, only because I don't think you need the start of a new year to put something into practice. If you literally wanted to change your whole diet and workout regimen tomorrow, start tomorrow. If you want to start next week, if you want to start in the middle of the summer or at the start of fall, I don't think you need to wait until January 1st to like fix something or set a goal in place or make plans to achieve something. I don't think you need the start of a year to do that, but I understand where some people feel like it's a restart, especially after the year of 2020. I know a bunch of people are really looking forward to 2021, and I feel like as much as I think you can change your life at any time and you don't necessarily need to wait until January 1st at 12 o'clock, I do see the importance of placing New Year's resolution goals if that's something that matters to you. So let me just say that first. But my first goal is don't copy and paste your goals. Don't see a goal on Twitter or Instagram or hear something on TikTok or read an article about these are the New Year's resolutions you should be setting. Losing weight, eating healthier, drinking more water, more self-care. Whatever it is, don't just copy and paste your goals because they're yours. What someone else wants to achieve might not be what you want to achieve, or the way that someone else wants to achieve their goals might not work for you. So copy and pasting this super generalized New Year's resolution won't be beneficial to you. You have your own hobbies, you have your own lifestyle, your routine, the way you do things. And if you just copy and paste all these other people's goals, you're not going to achieve them, and it's going to feel like really shitty. And I know this from experience because every single year I do the whole, I'm gonna get in better shape, I'm gonna, eat healthier, I'm gonna drink more water, I'm gonna achieve. I literally just take like the most cosmopolitan article I could possibly find and I pretend that those are my goals, and then I wonder why after a month I don't feel like I've achieved anything, and it's because like they weren't authentic to me. So I feel like making the goals more specific to me or more specific to you is the best way to achieve the goals, because then it's actually like your goal. You know what I mean? Tip number 2 sort of goes along with that, and it's just making realistic goals. You can't assume that you can change your entire life and make these drastic things, especially if your goals have like external factors in them, making more money, like not something you yourself can necessarily change right away. You're always going to feel like you just never are good enough if your goals are super unrealistic. You can have giant big goals, right? You can have these massive goals. That's something I talked about in my anxiety video, was that I have these huge goals, and a lot of the times I end up feeling like a failure because I'm not achieving this giant goal that I have for myself. I can still have this giant huge goal, but I need other goals to get me there, because I feel like my goals are always 10 steps ahead, and I need to like get myself more in place and really make sure I understand what has to happen to make that big one happen. That's something I want to add really quick, is that I don't think I'm some advice expert. These are just things that I feel like have helped me achieve some of my goals over the past couple years, and I just wanted to share them. Tip number 3 is sort of kind of what I've been saying, and it is put plans in place to achieve your goal. If on January 1st you just stand there and you're like, okay, time to achieve my goals, and you haven't figured out any way to achieve them, you're gonna feel really overwhelmed. Whatever your goal is, put steps in place to achieve that. Just for instance, if one of your goals is to make more money in 2021, how are you going to do that? put steps in place to help you make more money, because you're not just gonna wake up on January 2nd and have more money in your bank account, right? You either need to find another stream of income, or talk to your boss about how you could get a raise, or figure out how to get another job if the job you have isn't quite satisfying, you know, what you want to happen. Like, you need to put steps in place, because I think it'll help you from feeling so overwhelmed. And like I keep saying, this is something I struggle with a lot, because I'm always 10 steps ahead of my own body. So sometimes I really need to figure out how to make a plan to achieve the things I want. Figuring out the best way to like actually achieve your goals will help you achieve them. You can't just blindly assume that things will happen. Tip number 4 is a tip that I have recently started implementing, and I feel like it has been a life-changing difference. Like, I really do see the value in this, and it is build a support system. On one hand, this means family or friends, letting the people in your life know that you're trying to achieve something, or that this is what you want to do, and really letting them know that this is why it's important to you, and building a support system so that you don't feel like you're doing this all alone, right? You don't want to feel like you're facing all of these fears or doing all of these goals by yourself. You want to know that you have people in your corner. At the same time, if you feel like you don't really have anyone that you can turn to, or you don't want to turn to anyone, you're a little bit more independent, put practices in place that will help build a support system. So for instance, I'm obviously pursuing YouTube and social media and really trying to make this a career. And I think one of the practices that I really try to do as a support system is to make sure that I'm always stepping back and making sure that like I'm staying true to who I am. Like, this is what I want to put out. These are the videos I want to make. This is the content that I want to put out there. And I feel like making sure that I always have that practice of stepping back and kind of looking at the bigger picture, that's my support system. That's what helps me stay stable and, you know, have my head on straight. So whether it's a person or a practice, whatever it is, build a support system. Have something to fall back on when the days aren't going perfect. Make sure that you have people or practices in your back pocket that are your support system. And that tip sort of leads me into the next one, which is that not every day is going to be 100%. I am learning that now with VLOGMAS specifically. Making a video every single day, editing a video every single day, and putting it out is a lot, especially for a small creator who doesn't really have a following. It's a lot to make content that people want to see. Sometimes I feel like I'm killing it with YouTube. I'm like, yes, this is great content. People are loving this. I get DMs and messages, and I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then now, especially with the VLOGMAS, I'll put a video out and get like no response, nothing on it, and I start to feel like, why am I even doing this? Like, am I gonna be a big joke to people? Do people even like my content? Do people even like what I'm doing? And I feel like I need to consistently remember that not every day is going to be 100%. You might have days where you're operating at 200%. Your goals are right there. You can achieve them. You feel like you're on top of the world. And then you're gonna have days where you're literally operating at barely 10%, where you feel like you can't achieve anything. You feel like you're so far from what you want to do. And that's okay. That's life. In those moments where you're like, oh my God, this is the worst day ever. I'm, you know, useless. I'm never gonna achieve my goals. I think it's important to remember that like not every day will be your best day. That's just unrealistic. And obviously in the moment, it's really hard to remember that. Or sometimes you just have shit days. And if you take it for what it is and you promise to like make the next day better, I think that's all you can really do. My next tip sort of goes along with the having a support system, and it is have check-ins. Whether this is with yourself or the people around you, schedule or start to think about having check-ins. You can't just go at 100 miles an hour and never make sure that you're going in the right direction, right? Like, you want to make sure that you're having check-ins and that you're making sure that you're doing what you need to do to achieve your goals, because you could be doing what you need to for a week and then fall off. And I think that that's why a lot of like New Year's resolutions fail, is because people have it for a week and then it falls off, and then they don't have a check-in and they never get back on track. You can have a check-in and admit to yourself that you're so far from where you want to be, and that's okay, but having a check-in will help you see where you're at and put you back on track. This next tip is something I have learned pretty much over the course of 2020, and it's gonna sound bad, but I promise it has a good meaning. Sometimes you just have to go into autopilot. What does that mean? Sometimes you just have to put your head down and do it. It's not always going to be enjoyable. And I've learned this a lot with workout programs. I know I keep referencing that, but I've been doing a lot of different programs over 2020 because I don't go to the gym anymore. And one of the main things I've learned is that sometimes you just have to go into autopilot. You're not going to enjoy every single workout. You're not going to have fun. You're not going to have a great time every single time you try to do something. And sometimes you just have to do it. You just have to put your head down and do it. You're not always going to be like chipper and 100% and ready to knock the day out. Sometimes you just have to go into autopilot and get it done. You just turn your brain off and you just do it. And at the end of it, you're like, wow, I got it done. I didn't enjoy a single part of that, but it's done. And that's the hard work that sometimes you need to do to be able to achieve your goals. Sometimes you want to give up. Put your big girl panties on, suck it up, go into autopilot and get shit done. My last tip, and this is something I try to remember all the time, is that it's literally the whole thing. It's the whole journey. It's the whole process. It's the whole transformation. If you were just able to like click your fingers and go from point A to point B, you wouldn't have gained all the things you learn in the process. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something I struggle with, is just like accepting that sometimes you're not where you want to be, but there can be beauty in the journey. You know, there's beauty in the process. We're always so focused on getting to the end goal. You're always so focused on what's next. What's the next, like all of these things, and sometimes you forget that like the whole process in between is what matters. You can't get to point B without doing all of the steps in between. It just doesn't happen that way. And I think that that's something I'm trying to remember, and I wanted to add in this list as my last tip, because if your goal is to make more money or work out every day or take better care of yourself, all those steps in between is what is going to actually make that stuff happen. So embrace it, enjoy it. It's not going to happen January 2nd or January 3rd. It might not even happen in a year, but if you're doing everything you need, it will happen at some point. The universe absolutely always has your back, and the universe is always on your side. So if it doesn't happen this year, maybe it's next year, or maybe it's 3 years from now. But at some point, all of the hard work that you're putting in will pay off. It's just, the universe will never let you down. Even when you think it does, it still has your back. Guys, that felt like a therapy session. Like I always say this, but talking to my camera is honestly sometimes not for anyone else but myself. Like sometimes it's literally just because I need to hear these things, or I need to remind myself of these things. So I hope that you can take something from my therapy session. I hope putting all of my thoughts and feelings and worries and fears out on the internet has some sort of benefit to literally anyone, because it would be really nice to know that I helped someone else. If you have any good tips, please leave them in the comments below. I would love if this video served as like a little advice corner where you could just come and talk about the things that we want to achieve in 2021, speaking it to the universe that 2021 will be our year. So like this video if you actually like this video, and please subscribe to my channel, because I am trying to make one new video every day from now until December 25th, and you don't want to miss any. You want to be a part of me achieving my 2021 goal, right? Yes, so subscribe to my channel and I'll just be one step closer, you know? Okay, whatever. Peace.